What is up? Andrew Coleman. How are you, man?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am stoked. I am just pumped and ready. And I have named this Driving the Vision Forward with Jackson and Andrew. You ready?
I am ready.
Dude, I'm so ready. So good to see you. You always bring a light. You always bring a glow. I'm not talking about the literal one behind you, but like, nah, man, the future of Stephen Bartlett's, we got in the house. How you been?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here. Sorry for the delay in time getting
Yeah.
here. I didn't have it in my calendar, but I'm glad that we could still get some time together and have this episode.
I have an old business partner who's one of his favorite quotes over and over and over to a point where it was annoying. Would say, "God makes no mistakes." It happens for a reason, and there's always opportunity to be productive. So, Vision Pros. Again, if we use this as an episode, I haven't asked Andrew for permission for that, but if we end up using this as an episode, this is going to be a killer, amazing episode. And so, with that process said, never ever I would say, I'd invite you all as visionaries, don't let anybody waste your time. And what do I mean by that? Nobody has the ability to waste my time whatsoever. It's up to me. How am I going to use it? I can sit here and like, "Well, I wonder where Andrew is, and I wonder why he ghosted me." I hate the term ghosted. Nobody ghosts you. That doesn't happen. That's not a thing. If you feel like somebody's ghosting you, you have to remember you're not Taylor Swift. You're just not that cool. They wouldn't ghost her, but if they're ghosting you, that means you're not providing a clear enough value. Or on the flip side, the more important side, when it comes to service, we need to remember that if somebody doesn't show up, our first responsibility should be finding out, are you okay? Is everything good on their end? And so when we take that ghosted mentality, we're only reflecting that we are burn victims, that
Mm.
we're the ones who are causing them suffering. So, nope, you gave me the opportunity to reach out to Bob and John have a major HR solutions company, and they want to meet in April. And so I was writing an email about how they want to hear my ideas for April. And Andrew, I told them I think you would tell them. I was like, guys, I don't really want to fire from the hip and just give you theoretical ideas. I want to know what you guys think. What do you guys see as a potential vision, and do you guys even want to talk about this stuff? Because I don't want to waste their time. And so here I was doing that. I get that done, and then you jumped in perfectly when I finished. So it's like, no, man, it always works out, doesn't it?
It always does.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to see that probably firsthand with the entity we were. Can I name the name of the New England Patriots guy who happened to play a position on the end of the? Can I name the name?
Yeah, go ahead. It's not
Okay,
me.
because you learn a lot at with Gronkowski's companies, I'm sure. So, let's just, like, play for a little bit with that. So as we talk about driving the vision forward, that is a man who knew how to drive visions forward and knows how to drive visions forward. What'd you learn, Andrew, while working with them?
Well, I learned a lot as far as skills, but I think the biggest lesson that I took away from working with that company is one, that you can really do anything that you put your mind to. And two, hard work is always going to be in some part of work. A lot of people will say work smarter, not harder, but typically it's always
Eat
work
cool.
smarter and harder.
And harder. Yeah, man. Yes. Okay. So I'm gonna give a big shout out to James Malinchak. He's goofy. He's been in the industry for a long time. The speakers industry is one of the few paid speakers out there. But my heart hurt for him and for his audience because he taught this brilliant concept of how when you work hard, which he owns one of the records for like most 3 points made in college basketball.
Oh,
So like, don't get me wrong, the guy's brilliant, but he was teaching his audience and leaning into this thought, Andrew, that you're talking about of like, hey, let's talk to the hustlers who want the easy beach life, the bro marketers, and let's convince them to buy our program. And how we're going to do it? We're going to tell them you don't have to work hard. And by the way, you don't really have to work smart. You got to do the right work. And so he talked about how he was working hard with basketball, but he couldn't figure out how to make the 3 pointer. And then he made a line so that he could practice it because it came out during his time period while he was in college. And so he made the line, but then he still couldn't make anything. And some old man came over and was like, "Hey, if you stop throwing the ball like this, you won't go all over to left and right. But if you start throwing it like this, then you only have one dynamic to deal with. Is it going too far, or is it going too short? Is it going right in the hole?" So that process, yeah, don't work harder, don't work smarter, do the right work. And I was sitting there just like you, Andrew, and I was like, wait, no, no, no. If I work hard and I work smart and I do the right work. Like, whoa, okay, cool. So well
Yeah.
said, dude. You picked it up earlier than I did.
It keeps you from trying to cut corners a lot of the time because especially in nowadays with AI and everything that's going on, a lot of people wanna cut the corners and just press a button and have everything happen themselves, and it's not typically how that works. So,
Yeah.
it definitely taught me to, just figure it out the right time, do it right the first time, and then you can try and figure out ways to economize the process after you've done it the correct way the first time. And so that's something that I saw, especially working for that business specifically. It was just seeing a lot of people just always getting after it. Whether it was the director of sales being there at 6 in the morning, 5 in the morning, not leaving until closing time. If it was the weekend and he had to go out to a different state, Ohio or Pennsylvania or Indiana. He had to leave his wife, his kids, or anything like that. He was just a go getter and he would always go and get it done. But then it was also being closer with him and understanding how he kind of framed that, where he would say, yeah, I'm going to go get this. Like, I'm going to go be that person for the company, but I'm also that person when I'm home too. I'm not
Yeah.
working as well. I'm separating that. And I saw the transition happen from when he was bringing his laptop home, working at 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, to kind of leaving it at the office and then switching into work mode and switching
Mm.
into house mode. It was pretty cool to see. So working hard and then also kind of creating that balance a little bit. I'm not a big person for work life balance. I've gotten a little bit more closer to it over the years, but seeing that just made me it gave me a good perspective to kinda see what I do and don't wanna be like, as well as lessons to learn along the way.
Huge. Well, one, you've got time, on that, right? You got decades to figure that stuff out. And at the same time, I think it's awesome that you're already looking at it, working on it. My mom taught me that when I was young. When I was like 6 years old, she made me promise never go into the oil and gas industry. And the reason why she wanted that, she's like, "Jackson, it's not conducive to having a family. You're 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off." And she was very affected by that growing up with her own family, with her dad, and then also with my father. And so with that reality, I always and well, my dad, he was pretty wealthy. And so he made enough money and spent way more. But we got to go on cool vacations. And so I ended up with this strange balance of being able to see what life is like when you work hard, like she did as a single mom of six, and what it's like to also have fun and enjoy the cool things in life. And so I love that you're looking at it already. My mentor, Jake Larson from Video Power Marketing, he is I say my mentor. We've got a bunch, but he's my favorite. The guy has taught me more about life just by his example and how he lives than possibly anybody on earth. And so I speak of Jake and Video Power with great reference, but he moved on from work life balance about a year ago, and I was like, oh, wow, you want to got me into paying attention to how to like talk about it and stuff. But he calls it work life integration now, and I think
Mm.
it's fun to play with the buzzwords. But what he really taught me, Andrew, is he said that he told me the story from a guy named David Bednar about not juggling. Like life doesn't work like juggling, where you have to give every ball almost the exact same amount of attention, but you actually have to. It's more like plate spinning, and so with plate spinning, these circus guys, they get like 20 plates going. But these plates that are spinning, sometimes there's one or two plates that needs more attention than others. And so you have to keep going back to that one plate. And so he related that to how like you might have a kid that's struggling in high school and like struggling with drugs. And you might have to spend more time with that child than with the rest of your family. And it's not because you love them more than the others, because they have a certain need, or maybe your relationship needs more time right now. Maybe your business is in a season where it needs more time. And so I really loved that example because I've seen that reflected in my own life and my own family and my own different circumstances is no, I don't need to give everything the same amount of attention in order for it to be something that I love just as much. But I can be looking at how do I do that. So for you, Andrew, again, you do you. But there's so many opportunities for you to travel, right? To see different things in the world, learn different languages, learn instruments, figure out what different hobbies exist, do it with entrepreneurs, do it with people who aren't, spend time with speakers, authors, the whole gamut of different opportunities. All of that is going to open your mind and perspective to the different opportunities that could unfold and exist and the purposes. I'm doing the same thing. I'm 38. Like it's super important for me to keep doing that because it allows me to see the world in ways that if I close my mind to it, was like, no, I need to do this. I'm gonna do this only. This is my only vision. Well, I'm treating myself like a horse and I'm putting blinders on myself. So I don't want to do that. I want to see a broader view of what's possible out there. So right now we're actually gonna drive the vision forward. We're gonna be talking about what it means to drive the vision forward. I want to hear about your vision again, what you're up to, what's new over the last couple of weeks. But really, we're gonna get that in and where you're going. But then I want to spend some time with both of us looking at how are we driving our own visions forward. Like what are we actually gonna do for the rubber to meet the road and to gain more traction over the next couple, like say like next 30 days. How does that sound?
Sounds pretty good. Let's do it.
Cool.
All
Awesome.
right, welcome in to Vision Pros Live with Jackson Callum. I'm your show host. We will be doing interviews for visionary entrepreneurs and guest leaders who are building fantastic visions out there.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Vision Pros Live, and I am super excited to have Andrew Coleman on. This is kind of raw and real. I actually honestly didn't remember for a meeting for a Zoom or for a meeting for a podcast. But I was so excited because he reminds me of a very young version of Stephen Bartlett, and he has got a track record already that is awesome. He's got a great head on his shoulders, great diplomacy skills. I'm gonna bring him back on. We're going to talk about moving the vision forward, and we're going to talk executive level of moving the vision forward. I hope he hits me hard just like I'm going to kind of hit him hard. And we're going to do this as though we're like two boxers training in the ring. We're not trying to knock each other out. He can try to knock me out. He's welcome to. That'd be fun. But the point being, if we aren't willing to sharpen the iron, like it says iron sharpen irons, how's that happen? Well, you got to like get the friction in order to do that. And Vision Pros, I see so many people building in isolation. I see so many people who don't know what their number one goal is. I asked so many people about what is the top objective you'd like to get out of the show, and I would just be happy to have one person see it. And I get that. I am not unhappy to have one person see this. I'm grateful for that too. But that doesn't stop me. That I don't put a scarcity mindset of that I guess I mean they can't dream because I know that if I'm struggling to dream, it's probably because I've spent too much time believing in those who don't believe in me. And that's not good for my brand or vision. So we're going to be talking again to Andrew Coleman about where his vision's at, what he's doing with it. And we're going to do everything that we can to tie that straight right back to, well, what actions can you take for your visions today? So Andrew, welcome back to Vision Pros, man.
How's it going, Jackson?
I'm just excited to have you back, brother. Oh man. So, all right. So I'm looking at your website right now, scaling your business with marketing, advertising, and AI. I'm going to go back to your form a little bit because there's something that you said in there that I want to really see if we can dive in on. And so you brought up Jeremy Minor, and you might have brought up another executive, but one thing I saw in here was the word deadly. I was like, ooh, that's a bold claim here. Where did I find that? What did you say about being deadly, Andrew? Oh, here it is. It says, learning from Jeremy changed me from a novice marketer into a deadly expert that could drive significant revenue for a business and taught me how to think like a winner. Yet you also have this humility that you learned from the Gronkowski family. Right. And so can these things go hand in hand? Does deadly mean that you're just like some hype hustler grinding it out? What does deadly expert mean to you?
I was talking about deadly expert. I was talking about Jeremy Haynes inside of there. And
Ooh, Jeremy Haynes, I missed him.
yeah, but Jeremy Minor, he's a part of the process too as well. But yeah, when I talk about being a deadly marketer, that's just really taking a bunch of different words and bundling them up into one. And I would say the biggest thing that I mean by that is just capability. Can you do the job that you're looking to do? And are you going to make excuses about the job that you're made to do? I think you've worked with people, and probably I've worked with people as well that have said they're going to do something and then they don't do it. And it's always someone else's fault. It's always the weather. It's always this. It's always that. And that's something I can't stand. And I think that was baked into me with all the marketing skills as well. And so that's what I'd say is a deadly marketer is someone who is capable of doing what they're saying that they can do and is just going to get it done no matter what. I call it fit FOA. and I
Fit
won't spell that out
FOA.
for you. Yeah.
Fit FOA. What? Yeah, is that an acronym?
Figure it the F out. Ability.
Thank you for doing the about thing. LFG. Let's have fun and go. So love that. All right, scale your business again with marketing, advertising, AI. Guys, again, it's so nice and refreshing to have somebody who's young who also has the wisdom level that you have, Andrew. And because of that, I really do believe that you're going to be able to go very far with all you're up to. And you're using tools like HubSpot. I'm sure you're familiar with tools like GoHighLevel if you're not using it as well. Are you using GoHighLevel or no?
No, I mainly use HubSpot for my CRM, website, stuff like that. For project management, I use ClickUp.
Yeah.
But once we start pushing ads a little bit more, I probably will move into GoHighLevel just to have landing pages built into the platform altogether.
Cool. And do you have a team currently?
Right now, it is mainly me. I do have some VAs that I will use for bigger projects, but mainly it's me.
Okay. So you have some virtual assistants that you bring in, and my hope with that be we always say it, and this stuff, guys. It looks like I set him up with what I'm about to say next. I didn't, and I know Andrew's not contributing to this, but we say we don't believe in VA relationships at First Class Business Division Pros Live. We don't support virtual abuse, and that's what we see happen. Now you're young enough that your relationships haven't gone on for years with VAs yet, but I mean I was a virtual abuser. I was the type of, and here's your little test for not you, for all vision pros out there. Do you know the birthdays of your VAs? Do you know the anniversaries? Do you know their children's names? You may have given them a salary or a raise, but have you asked them to share their personal budget with you? Um, and have you asked them if they own their home or if they rent? There's so many different things that we can really do to find out, have we leaned into a transformational relationship with these individuals who are actually building our visions? Or are we treating them like a transaction? Because my first 4 hires I fired, and I started to realize that my finger was pointing at everybody else, and there was 3 pointing back at me. So I started to think about it, I was like, "Oh, maybe," and I looked at the first one, and my scope of work was so bad, I didn't even understand it. And I was like, "Oh my gosh. Okay, this is totally my fault along the way." And so I really the last one really hurt because I realized I'm kinda treating these people like I bought a pair of shoes at Payless, instead of really taking interest in who they are. They took an interest in my VAs, which took me, what, 20 minutes? Form the questions and ask. And then it takes me some time, like if I want, I can take as much time as I want, but I can spend a little bit of time on it. What's amazing is they came to bat for me. That most cry in our interviews. Most people from the West, or sorry, from the East, because and they tell me, I said, "So, are you okay? Like, how can I help you?" And they said, "Well, Jackson, I've never had an American treat me with respect like this before. Andrew, we can change that." What's your experience been like with your VAs?
I've seen experiences with other people that have not been that great. Luckily, I took the mindset of I need to learn how to do this myself before I can delegate it to someone else to one, know that they're doing a right job, but then also
Smarter than me.
two, so that way I can know what that process is and then help them and coach them throughout that process. And so whenever I bring on a VA or someone to help with the project, it's never for like, hey, I just need you for this project and then like don't talk to me again. And exactly what you're saying. I may not know the intricate details of their life, but I do ask them, and it's part of the interview process. What is your long term goal? What's your goal? What's your 5-year goal? Typically, they're just saying, be able to pay my rent, be able to make X amount of money, so that way I can do X, Y, and Z. Sometimes you
Yeah,
have to shake them a little bit to get them to spit it out, but,
right.
typically, I ask them those questions because that's what I care about, and if I can provide them good income, they can provide a job for me, it seems like a pretty good relationship for us to start to build, and it's not one where it's like, "Hey, get this done," they don't get it done, now I'm upset and there's all this stuff. No, stuff happens. Just let me know why it happened, and let's figure out why or how we can avoid this happening again. And so, I
Huge.
think in relationships like that, it's the proper way to go about doing that. But I have seen people abuse virtual assistants with just, "Hey, every second that your eyes are open, you're doing this or
Right.
you're doing that, or I need you to do this." And even when your eyes start to shut, put some toothpicks in because you're not done yet.
Right. Those are there are the extreme examples, but I think we need to be all be careful as entrepreneurs of the subtle. right? The subtle ways where we overlook it. Because especially for the East, the VAs that live out East, they're yes men through and through. Why? Because if they lose that job, they don't know where they're going to get another job. So they have to say yes to everything. They feel that way. There's the scarcity that exists amongst them and the competition that exists. The supply and demand is in the favor of North American business owners. And so they will oftentimes through tears, through infections, through all sorts of challenges. Yes, I'm happy. I'm good. Yes, I'm not going to let you down. No, I'm not going to miss that. I will get this done. Right. And they will put in hours. They don't register. They do all sorts of things. And so we have an opportunity to just dive even deeper on that and say, all right, how do I really make sure that these people are supported at maximum level? But I love that you're doing that. You're a prime example of that, Andrew, with how you're talking to individuals. And this is a big piece of all of our abilities to move the vision forward. I don't care if you have one DA, you have 100 team members. Either way, you have an opportunity to empower people to move your mountains and build their visions with even greater tenacity by empowering them to be their best selves and be at their healthiest levels. So that's one of our big gifts to you today at Visionaries. Now, back to your vision, Andrew. So you've got some people that you work with. We've got some people we work with too. We got a big goal this coming month. We want to make sure to bring on 7 total new clients. So that's what we're aiming for. It's like, let's go get 7 clients. And with that goal, we have certain thresholds put into place for how much money per client. If we sign really big clients, then we'll lower the amount of clients that we bring on because we never want to sacrifice the type of quality that we. That's why we're called first class business. I don't believe in second class service. And so it puts a constant. We would have gone super rich had I named the company viralgrowthmarketing.com. Like, no problem. But when you name yourself first class business, everybody comes like ready. Like, hey, are you going to do this super perfect for us? Like, yeah, that's exactly what we're going to do. So I shouldn't say perfect, but you know what I mean. So Andrew, with that, we got different initiatives that we want to pull off. We've got strategic partnerships we want to build out. In fact, you're one of those strategic partnerships that I want to lean into. And I'm like, man, how do I get this? How do I get Andrew's eyes, ears, heart, mind on what we're up to and how we're doing it? So I guess my bigger question for you though is, what are your goals for the next 30 days and through the next month or the next quarter?
For the next 30 days, for the agency, we're looking to always bring on more clients. We typically want to be around the 10K to 20K a month mark for the agency. And so next month, we're going to be pushing up more towards getting from the 5K to 10K mark and getting that a little bit more consistent. One thing that we've found right now is always having to go chase projects. And so over time, this is going to be something we don't have to worry about as much. It's just about getting people in the door. And right now, we're kind of running offers where we're doing more performance because we don't want to be sucking a retainer from someone where they're not getting the results that they are looking for. We're just sitting there milking money. That's not really the relationships I like to build. So I'd rather just set someone up, get compensated for the time of setting up a system that's valuable to them, and then they only pay when they get results, which is how we're going to do it for a little bit until we can build a pretty thick library of testimonials, case studies, and then we can go ahead and start charging a lot more. And that's going to be once the time starts shrinking where I don't have as much time available, the team doesn't have as much time available, we start raising those prices and scaling the business.
Dude, I love how open you're being. It's leading me to want to ask questions that are a bit vulnerable. So feel free at any time to be like, Jackson, that's private information for what we have. Right. Cause I understand the importance of that too. And so I'm gonna dive in deep though. So you're, well, love the perspective and the future where you're going. Jeremy Minor, he's stronger than what I just heard reflected though. I think he is. He needs to be. You're ready for that level, man. You're gonna crush this. I really have a strong feeling you're gonna crush your revenue goals. What's your lead generation process look like right now? How are you going about getting leads for your vision? And again, visionaries, those of you not on the business mindset side, these are very important questions. I'm gonna interpret that. How many people are you serving, and how many people are aware of how well you can serve them? Right? Same exact question. One's just business vernacular. So back to it. What's your lead pool look like? How do you lead gen?
So we have a couple different ways when we go and grab leads or go and look for deals. It's actually very funny because I was taught to first do personalized video pitches. And so that was hey, You have a company that you like, you have a creator that you like, go ahead and find how to get in contact with them with multiple tools like hunter.io or any mail finder or any of the, or even just do the research. Go look at their place here, there, everywhere else. Go to Apollo, try and find their contact details. Then just sit down, look at the camera, go through their funnel, go through their offer and say, hey, I see you can improve it here, here, and here. And this is how exactly I would do it. And send the video off to them. You can send 100 videos, but you're probably going to get like one response back. And so this
So I
is
was gonna ask, what are the benchmarks on this? Because I see a lot of people doing it. I used it back in the day before it was cool,
yeah.
like when nobody was doing it, and it had a very good response rate back then because nobody was doing it. But like I get hit with four to no, let me exaggerate, 3 to 5 of those per day at this point. That's how many people are doing it these days. And so I mean, don't get me wrong, we've got a big distribution too. So it's not it would be different if our brand wasn't well known. But it has become well known. So what are the do you mind sharing the benchmark metrics that you guys strive to hit with that? Do you know them or are you guys just kind of like figuring it out as you go?
When I was doing the cold video pitches, I was aiming for a 1% reply rate. If I sent out 100, I'm looking for at least one response back because I had more time than capital. And it wasn't
Mm,
until I got into working at the fitness equipment company and then I had some income coming in. And that's where I shifted lead gen. And this is where I started seeing the most success. And this was going to Upwork. And so going to Upwork, there's three different spots that someone is within the buying process. They're either problem aware, solution aware, or they know the problem, they know the solution. Now they just need to find the person in order to solve the problem and deliver the solution. And so with the cold video pitches, although it'd be great to work with those people, you don't know if they're problem aware, you don't know if they're solution aware, and they may not even be looking for someone to solve that. Upwork takes two of those away. So now it's just down to, are you the person for this job? And of course, if you can articulate yourself on camera, you have a pretty good setup, pretty good quality, pretty good microphone, you can beat a lot of the people that are maybe overseas. Even if you are overseas, you can get a cheap microphone. You can just try a little bit, even wait for the sunlight to come out to shoot your video applications. And now you have a competitive advantage over other people just sending text to the job postings. So that's what we did. We'd go ahead and do, oh, I would do specifically making these videos, custom videos on the project, open up an automation platform. Hey, this is how I would do it. I would link this together, and then we can do this. And this is exactly how I do this project. Let me know if you have any questions, and then send it over. I'd use AI to customize the CV that I'd send over to them, the cover letter. And then I'd get replies, probably send out 25-ish and get a reply back, and then
mm,
just scale it up from there. What's funny about that lead generation strategy is you can apply to a job for, let's say, content automation, and someone can be like, you know what? You impress me in this video a lot, which I have heard quite frequently is, I don't even want to do this job with you. I have this project over here. Can we talk about this instead? And it's like, that was pretty interesting to see over time. That's not the only lead gen source. After Upwork, we then diversified into cold email. And so a lot of people hear cold email and they've either done it before and sucked at it, so they don't enjoy it, or with cold email, they just didn't crack the code. And they think, oh, you're just blasting people from a list, you're just spamming people, like it's not quality outreach. And to that, I would say I disagree. Just because you can use AI to go scrape someone's website, you can use AI to go scrape someone's LinkedIn page, you can create personalization based on for every single lead and then shoot them your offer. And we're not selling people over cold email. We're just getting them to raise their hand and say, yep, I'm interested. Then from there, it's all customized from there. We're getting on calls with them, we're sending them Loom videos, we're getting people to book a call and solving a problem that they have and that they raised their hand for and said, hey, I have this problem.
yep. I want to dive into a little bit of depth on these. So one cold email that I got that intrigued me about a year and a half ago, I've gotten it twice now. Somebody sent me a penny on PayPal, right when they were doing these. And so I was like, wow, that gets your attention. I
It's
don't
good.
remember how they were tying that to their strategy, but one of the things we're talking about is like, okay, these tactics can be corny and they can really actually ruin a reputation. But if they're used correctly, just like the words "I love you," right? There's a wrong time and a right time. There's a right intent and a wrong intent for how we use this tactic. Thank you and you're welcome. Same thing. They're really just tactics at the end of the day. But as we learn to use them with emotional intelligence, then we improve our relationships and cultivate better. I want to go back to Upwork KPIs. So Upwork, what types of results? How many do you have to send out before you get responses, or what does that look like?
I would say it's probably around 25. If I can actually go, might be able to look this up actually, but I think it was around.
I'm okay with the swag guess, like the scientific wild guess. Yeah, I'm good with that. So 25.
I think it was about 25 that I'd send out. I'd get a response back, and then probably from there, it was people that viewed the proposal. If I send 25 out, about 7 or 8 of them would view the proposal, and then I'd get an interview from one of those people. And typically, if I got an interview, I would be closing at like above 50%. So I had to send out like 50 applications in order to close a job.
Mhm.
That seems about right.
Ooh, you are getting after it. Um, okay. And on the cold email. So the cold email and the cold video, what was your distribution mechanism then for the cold videos?
For the
Were you
cold
sending
video,
out your cold emails?
it was pulling up their email in Gmail, filming the
Yeah.
video, typing in their email, and just clicking send. So no
So it's
automation.
also a cold email campaign.
No, those weren't at that time.
I didn't understand that then. So wait, where was the list from?
The list would be from like D7 Lead Finder, just some B2B database, basically.
Okay, I'm still not connecting the dots. So you're getting an email list that's cold and you're sending them a video, right?
Yeah, you can call it cold email, but when I say cold email campaigns, I'm thinking like an automated cold email campaign using something like Instantly or Reach Inbox or
Oh,
something like that.
got it. And on those, I would assume that the reply rate is lower, but am I wrong about that?
For which ones?
For the cold emails that don't have a video, is the reply rate still 1% or is it lower than that?
I'd say it's probably anywhere from 1 to 5%. You can get all the way up to 10%. It depends on how targeted your list is. But on
Sure.
average, I'd say 1 to 2%.
So if you're getting the 1 to 2% on that and you're not having to invest the time in the cold video, right? Why mess with the cold video aspect?
That's why I don't. That's why I do cold email and Upwork.
There it goes. Oh, well, that's fantastic. And these elements, my friends, this is all how we figure out how to optimize to them. Right? Because like when we can learn how to combine these different efforts, then we can create a faster sense of security, a faster mode towards getting towards like a real conversation with people, then that improves their ability to support and help clients and scale, which also has the byproduct of that is it helps us to build our visions that much better. So, okay, so we talked about these different lead gen sources and opportunities. Thank you for that. I'm going to reveal one of mine or a couple of mine too to balance this out a little bit. And again, for all you visionaries out there, like Andrew just gave a gold mine of opportunities. And I'm a big believer that I never want to have all my eggs in one basket. I don't know why so many entrepreneurs think that like their lead generation is good. Like and they're good enough. Like that's such a scarcity mindset. So we've got some cold campaign stuff that we're actually potentially coming out with. But when we joined PodMatch, huge shout out to Alex Sanfilippo. That changed the game for us. Our podcast, the one you are listening to right now, this is a huge lead generation engine for us. Do we do the podcast for the sake of lead generation? No, we do the podcast for the sake of hearing about people's visions. But we're also really, really great at building people's visions. That's what we do. So it's not uncommon for our guests to be like, "Hey, I would love to have my system set up with the quality that you guys have set up." In other cases, when we're having conversations with our guests and having them come back and we're reviewing what they're up to, the conversations that we have are very advisor driven. And so when we're asking about goals and we're asking about team, when we're asking about operations, sometimes the visionaries impressed us enough to where I just tell them like, "Hey, look, my application's in." And they're like, "What?" I'm like the job application. I didn't see a careers page or the ability to apply, but what you're building is phenomenal and it's aligned with what we're doing. So why would I not want to help you build the vision?
Mm.
And so some people are a little bit like, huh? I didn't come on here to do that. Like, and those ones I realize like, oh, cool. I definitely don't want to work with somebody like that. Right. If they're that scared to talk about it, it's like, okay, maybe you're not the visionary I thought you were. Not casting shade at anybody individually. Right. But this is what we call our combine. So I go on to PodMatch. So here we are. We were using Flow Chat big shout out to those guys, Chris and Sean. Chris Bade and Sean Malone. They built a phenomenal system. It's changed a lot since we used it though, so I can't say what it is, but we were paying a pretty hefty mortgage monthly for that system. And our top day using that to get in touch with people on LinkedIn and Facebook, we had 14 appointments booked within 1 hour. Right. So the system's crushing it, man. Like the system works. Our offer makes a big deal with that too, though. And Andrew knows this, right? How do you get an offer that is irresistible and that gets people to be like, whoa. So the nice thing about our offer, and so anybody again wanting to launch a podcast, you can model what we're doing. You can't take our name, but you can make a little bit different of a name. And well, what we say is, hey, John, we saw your profile on LinkedIn, which we did, or we might not say self. We say, you look, right? We didn't say we saw. There's a difference, right? You look like a caring visionary leader. We'd love to invite you to come on our show, Vision Pros Live. Would you like to see the trailer? We got like a 90% response on that. So and we like everybody comes in because nobody feels threatened, and we're not threatening anybody. We're just giving them an opportunity. We're basically saying, let me translate that for all of you. Hey, you're welcome to come sell our audience. We're going to put you on stage for free.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, yeah, I'm all in. Right. So we do kind of have the Taylor Swift effect. In fact, my favorite response ever that I saw, somebody said, oh my gosh, I'd love to. I'm at Disneyland right now. But I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this lady just stopped her experience at Disneyland to apply to our show. Right. To reply to them. Like, that's freaking nuts. Like, that's powerful levels of irresistibility. So we're doing well with that system. But then we found PodMatch. So again, shout out to Alex Sanfilippo, one of my favorite leaders in the world as well. And within one day, it was less than 48 hours, we had over 100 appointments booked for our show. People were booking 6 months in advance. And I thought it was a bot. And I thought the system was broken. Maybe there was just like AI stuff happening. Maybe it was going to be bad. No, they were phenomenal. But I did send Alex a video. Like, hey, man, is there a problem in your system? Because we just got 100 appointments and it doesn't seem like real. And so he responded back. He's like, Jackson, we've never had anybody with that level of traction on a platform before. So knowing your audience, knowing your niche, knowing who you're going to want to talk to and what you're providing for them is super valuable. But I can go on LinkedIn, look at a couple of comments on people's posts and just be like, hey, you're the type of visionary leader we'd love to have on the show. Would you like to see our trailer? Boom. They're like, yeah, we'd love to see the trailer. So getting your offer right, super helpful. Those are two of our systems. The other one that I'll say too, for all you people out there that want to expand your lead generation, if you're in a position right now too, visionaries, where you're bottlenecked, my hope for you is that you don't stop your distribution. Don't end your opportunity to bring in leads, because if it shuts off, if whatever you're doing fails or goes out of business or no longer works, like, that's a horrible position to be in as a brand. So I'm a huge fan of advertising. Nobody wants to talk about advertising because most people are broke and they don't want to spend on it. And so it's easier to say, like, I don't want to give Mark Zuckerberg more money than admit to the market that I'm broke. Right. Just true. And it's easier to say, well, we're all about referrals. We win based on word of mouth. The opposite interpretation of that is, oh, you're not attractive. You're not attractive to strangers. Got it. Okay. Makes sense. Your website is missing, have testimonials. Your landing pages, somebody spent a bunch of money, but they didn't figure out how to pull it all together. So those are also keys. But when you're advertising, the nice thing today, you can spend $1 on ads per day or less even than that. And you can get an idea of how people feel about your brand, because people are supposed to hate ads. And so if they don't hate your ad, if it's that good, because you're working on your messaging and you find an ad, a solution, not clickbait, a real true solution that inspires people, that gets people to click, what you're now doing is, instead of treating your warm audience like lab rats and trying to test your organic messaging on your like friends and family and people that you love and care about and really want to build with, no. You're now testing your messaging out with a cold audience that is designed to hate the ad anyway. But if you can crack the code with them, odds are your warm audience are also going to absolutely love that message. So your click-through goes up, your comment rate goes up, your reputation on the platforms goes up, all of that affecting your cost as well on what you spend. So I would recommend checking out both those channels. And Andrew, Vision 4. We went over too. Sorry, man. We went way over on time. I didn't ask because we started a little bit late. Are you good on time or do you need to run?
No, we're good.
Okay, I'm excited. So I shared a bunch. Feel free to punch back on any of that or add to it, and then we'll move to the next subject.
No, I think that's really good. I think one thing that I even struggled with was during the lead generation process of like building up the company. You say never stop, like lead generation, never stop outreach. That's very easy to say, but
Mm.
I've never heard someone explain how to do it.
Oh, cool. You ready?
The
Oh,
one
I'm
way that
so excited. I'm so excited. Oh, you have a way to do it?
the one way that I figured out
Good.
was
Go ahead.
it wasn't even about figuring out how to continue doing it, because doing the lead gen, I knew how to do the lead gen. That wasn't the problem. The problem was the fulfillment. And so this immediately uncovered the problem of misscoping. So scoping a project a little bit too big, not understanding everything. So now I'm stuck in the weeds. I'm doing so much more. The delivery of the project. Am I doing custom projects all the time, or did I productize my solution to where I can very easily fulfill on that pretty quickly? And those are the two biggest ones that I found. And once you realize that you're probably scoping wrong and you aren't productizing enough and you figure that part out, that's when lead generation becomes a lot easier because you can continue to do lead gen, but you're not getting bottlenecked by fulfillment.
So love it. I love it 100%. And here's what I love most about where you're at in your business, because you relate to most visionaries out there. But you've learned to use the word we a lot. And there is a true we. You mentioned that you're alone in what you do in some regards, but you've also got your BAs that you can activate. So you're a problem solver. You know how to solve. You know how to create solutions. You can use preferred vendors as well. You can create strategic partnerships on the fly. You can do your research better than the client can typically do their research. Like, who am I going to bet on? The entrepreneur who doesn't have any time and doesn't know anything about the web, or am I going to go to Andrew who does have time and who does know things about the web? Like, which one's going to find the right person? I'm going to put my bet on you in those circumstances. So there, you have that we aspect, but you're still young enough and you still got room to grow where you can still optimize. And so a lot of what you talked about in lead gen was not necessarily the automation, but your manual process for your bottlenecked. Right? It's like, how do I get unbottlenecked? And I love that you hit on something that I wouldn't have talked about, but I'm a stickler about quality assurance.
Mm.
Right. If you ruin your quality assurance, if you're not paying attention to how well you're providing, and like Andrew said, if you're over promising and under delivering or having to make up for that, then that's going to ruin your chance to build a valuable brand, and you might even ruin your reputation permanently. So there's it's very important to have those components in place. In addition to that, creating lead generation systems where the leads are coming in, but you're not the one doing it, where that's just happening, that's a big play. I'm going to go back to Taylor Swift again. Well, just for the sake of congruency, we'll keep going with her. Um, Taylor Swift, if one of her fans wrote her on Twitter and 5 years later Taylor Swift responded to it, you know how excited that fan would be? Like
Yeah.
through the roof excited, like, "Oh my gosh, Taylor Swift responded to me." And so you got the French Laundry, a restaurant out in San Francisco. They have a 7-year wait for a reservation. 7 years, right? They don't have a lead gen problem, and they don't have a problem saying, "We're that we're that desired. Demand's that high for us." And so I see so many visionaries and entrepreneurs on LinkedIn that feel they have to get to inbox zero for one. And that's a virus. That is a disease. Two, I see them responding and like berating people who have spam coming at them. And it's like, what are you going to do? Fix the spam problem for the world? Do you think Tony Robbins sits there all day and is like, yeah, let me respond and tell you, this is why your campaign's not working. Or I'm doing better than you're saying that I'm doing.
Actually,
Yeah.
that's a good way to do cold email if you do cold email. So I totally agree. No one
Talk
should be
about that.
wasting their
Yeah.
time doing that. But I do know, and someone that does this with cold email is you watch your spam folder. And if someone's cold emailing you and it's going to spam, they're obviously not doing cold email very well. They don't
I'm gonna
understand.
upgrade your language real quick. You're gonna repeat what you just said, but this time instead of saying you watch your spam, you get to say your team watches your spam. Go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah. Well, Neither your team nor you are watching your spam. An automated system is watching your spam.
Good.
As it watches your spam folder, these are typically people trying to sell you something. And if they're landing in spam, they're not doing something very well with their cold email setup.
And they need help.
They need help. Problem identified. You
Yep.
have the solution. So now, are you the person for it? So now you send it back to them saying, hey, I see you're in spam. Let me help you out. Let me just shoot a video and show you a couple things. You could have even a pre-recorded video if you want to try and do this at scale. If you can't do personalized videos, that's even better. But you can even have a pre-recorded video going over SPF, DKIM, DMARC records, deliverability insights. You send it over to them, and now you may land a cold email client because they suck at cold email and landed in your spam folder.
And here's the neat thing about what Andrew's talking about, my friends. Y'all might be hearing, oh my gosh, but you're only getting 1%. Like how much time? Well, you're getting 1% from cold video, 1% from cold email, 1% from et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then your leads are stacking up. It's super important to value even the small things. And it's also important to understand the value of like diminishing returns, and being careful with your time and what you're up to. So I'm gonna double down on what Andrew just talked about 2 ways. One, I want to show you guys what's going on in PodMatch. That way you can see that. And I also want to show you guys our preferred vendor program because while we're currently at a threshold where I don't want to say we don't need the leads. Again, diminishing returns. When we don't have enough coming in for the goals that we have, I can easily have one or two of my team members jump on the strategy that Andrew's talking about, set it up, run it, boom. But we do it to what's called a preferred vendors program. That way and there's two ways we do that. We either invite people right to the preferred vendors program where they can go pre-qualify themselves and take a look at that, or we say the same thing that we say in our outreach through LinkedIn back in the day was, hey, you seem like an interesting leader. We'd love to interview you on Vision Pros Live. And so if anybody's faking that or they're not responding back to their boss, then sure, we won't hit anything. But if they're a good leader, they'll see the invitation to come on stage and they'll come talk to us. And then I don't have to be like, hey, by the way, your cold email campaign sucked. It was awful. Like that's not what I'm going to say right away. I'm going to focus on their submission to our forum. I'm going to talk to them. They might talk to me. If they want to try to sell me, then comes the opportunity for a reverse pitch. So now we're getting advanced. Now we're going beyond Jeremy Miner. We're going beyond all the coaches out there on sales. And so all you advanced vision pros, if you don't know the art of reverse pitch, that's one of the best things you could possibly know to not waste your time. And you have to be really great at pre-qualifying for this to pay off from a value standpoint if you want to make 5 to 6 figures per month. So the reverse pitch. Let the people pitch you, my goodness. And ask questions and interrupt if they tend to drag on. You're just going to expose that they don't know what they're doing. That's okay. But it takes me about 5 to 10 minutes to hear somebody out. That's it. And I'm going to let them drive. And they're going to drive and say, okay, cool. Tell me about it. Tell me about your offer. Tell me, how does that work? Who's your ideal client? How much is the price point, by the way? I'm interested in it. Right. Okay. And then I'm going to get to the end of that and they're going to get to a pitch and I'm going to say, and they're going to be ready to pitch and I'm going to go, okay, tell me your pitch. And 99% of the time, they're going to go, I'm supposed to sell it for 3,000, because that's what Jeremy Miner says. But Cole Gordon's is supposed to be at 15. And I've never really gotten to this part before. Why? Because their marketing sucks. It's awful. And so nobody wants to hear them or talk to them or listen to them. And so now we're off in left field. They know they've driven the car off into left field. I'm just sitting there and enjoying the view, taking panoramic shots of the field that we're in. And then I get to say, hey, John, would you like me to drive from here? And if John's not stupid, then John, no, that'd be good. And I can even I can lean in as hard as I want to. Like, do you realize that your strategy put you in this situation? I can Grant Cardone them to death on that point and help them realize, like, do not do this. Fix your stuff. Let's move. Or I can nurture them and be like, hey, would you like to see an easier path and one that doesn't leave you feeling this way? Because you seem like a really nice person. You've also got credibility in the market. You've got a great offer. You seem like you're going to fulfill well on it. But the team that got you here, this isn't doing you any favors. And so I can just compassionately help them and I can drive them back on course and help them move. So the reverse pitch, that's a huge thing. Definitely something worth being aware of. Let's go to the, I'm going to share my screen real quick. Let's go to window. Here we go. And we're going to PodMatch. So in PodMatch right now, we're a couple months behind. You can see here, 7 minutes ago, Nick Jane applied. 2 hours ago, Brian Guess applied. Jay Setchell applied. Brandon applied. So just today, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These 6 guests, wonderful people who've got fantastic track records. They all want to be on our show. And we've got 98 of these that we're behind on. And then we can just go in and invite whenever we're ready. And we're already booking through March right now. So unless I clear up some schedule for myself or one of my co-hosts does the same, or I bring on a new co-host who's like, wow, I'd love to meet these people. We've had 7 or 8 total co-hosts over the last 2 years. Really, really helpful process. And then we've got over here 22 messages from people who are asking me if I'd like to be on their show. Those applications take a little bit longer, so I don't mess with them as much. We need to have a little bit more bandwidth as a team to do it. So that's a fantastic lead generation process that helps us pre-qualify people and make sure we're meeting with the right people. All right, now we're going over here to preferred vendor program. Lululemon has a preferred vendor program. Anytime Fitness has a preferred vendor program. The NFL has by the way, the NFL's preferred vendor program has a $50,000 cost to join it. If you want to go to an apartment and get your solar panels sold on an apartment complex, they're usually going to send you to a preferred vendor program, and you usually have to pay about $100. Anytime Fitnesses is a $40 preferred vendor program. Lululemon leverages theirs by helping people become ambassadors. So they actually reinvest in the people who get involved. As far as I know, there's not a fee. And so the point though is, why am I going to recommend a vendor or want to work with a vendor who is unqualified? It just doesn't make sense. So requests for proposals, when we wanted to work with the Masters Tournament Augusta for our reservation software, I had to work on this RFP with Adam and Dawn. We had to build an RFP. It took us a long time. We had to go fly out in person and meet them as well and talk to them about what things they wanted. And we had to review the requirements and prepare our proposals and submit that. And as part of that, they helped us understand that, like, what their principles were. Same thing here. We're helping people understand we're client centric in our approach. There's flexibility within this framework, but you're gonna have to read. If people don't even want to read this stuff, I don't want to work with them. Right? I also want them to understand how our systems work. And so the neat thing is, this whole thing is selling them, and 90% of people are going to go away. But actually, I would say that there's probably 10 to 20% are going to come down here real fast. They're going to see this, and they're going to read it. There's attention before registering, and we hit hard. We said we are aware that this registration process may feel like a burden to those of you with a get-rich-quick mentality. We do not believe in cheap tricks or shortcuts that hurt brands as they fail to establish proper infrastructure. And we go on to talk about what we give away. And this program, we literally give this program to all of our clients. And so when we give this program to our clients, we teach them, okay, when you go to the your next networking event or trade show, use the butt cheek process. You ever heard of that before, Andrew?
I have not. I'm interested to hear about it.
You're gonna give me a card, and yours is gonna be one of the good ones. So you're gonna go on the right butt cheek. That's where the good cards go. Right. The left butt cheek is for the cards that I have no business calling. Right. They didn't really inspire me. So use the butt cheek process. Then you take the pictures of those cards so we know who to prioritize and how many people you talk to. And then we have a page for more info where we just put their name and their email. But if you came in, you're like, hey, Jackson, I want to be your AI guy. I want to help you in marketing. And I'm like, hey, that's awesome. Tell me about it. And so you tell me about it, you go excited. And then I'm like, okay, cool. Well, and you're like, let's do a strategic partnership, strategic collaboration. It's usually just a sales pitch. Right. It's like, okay, cool. Let's do that. We'll definitely get in touch with you. So, then you're going to get an email from us because of the page that's automated that says, hey, Andrew, or we would love to talk to you further about working together. We work with first class business in order to pre-qualify and vet the vendors that we work with. And then it has a little button to go to that link so that you can then see, oh crap, not only do I want to work with Journey to Wellness, let's say, who's up here, right? Let's say you want to work with them and provide AI for them, but they've now outsourced their vetting and filtration process to us. And the people want to go through that, then have to go to that page and have to consider, do they really want to work with this company that's super well organized and that has a great engine where they might be able to fit in? And then first class business, if I meet with them, if they really qualify, then I'll meet with them. We might actually upgrade them as a client for us in the process of getting them to be a provider for Journey to Wellness, but we negotiate on Journey to Wellness's behalf about why it's so awesome to work with them. And if they end up paying us, then we'll also pay an affiliate fee to our client. All the meanwhile, we're about to launch Journey to Wellness is probably by the end of this week. Journey to Wellness's email will also include a section that says, hey, by the way, we prefer vendors who understand the value of our supplements. And so if you'd like to try our supplements, here's a little discount code. You can do so. That goes a long way to showing that you actually care about our brand. Right. So now they're actually driving direct revenues through this process as well for people who do want to consider working on it. If they don't, like, let's say I got that and my wife or my girlfriend or I don't know, my sister has some type of health problem. Oh, well, they have these programs. So let me just forward that to my sister in the meantime. So there's so many opportunities to pull all this together, to create leads, to make our time more efficient. I do want to go back to the point for most of you. If you don't have team members, if you're trying to do your lead generation by yourself, if you're the one who's trying to manage the entire business by yourself, you are probably going to end up in the one entrepreneur bucket. You're probably going to struggle. And I've been there. I did it for years. It was not a good game plan. I needed to have a team in order to build things out well. So I think I broke Andrew's camera. Okay, here we go. So he's back. Andrew, vision forward. My hope for you, my friend. Um, Stay wise with the type of revenue that you're bringing in. But maybe you can answer one question for me.
Mhm.
What's the maximum amount of budget that I could pay you from an operations and marketing standpoint that you could be responsible with and still help me grow? I'll tell you mine after you tell me yours.
You said what's the budget?
The max budget, yeah. If I'm ready for you to help me grow and I want to thrive, I want to lean into the law of abundance. I'm ready to just crush it. What's the maximum budget? So if you want, I'll go first. My maximum budget for my clients is $150,000. That's my max. I can handle 1.5 million, maybe up to 10 million, but I have to be full time. And I'm not going to do that. Right? I'm not going to go on as an employee. But I've never worked for Apple. I don't know what a $2 billion budget looks like. Or a 200 million, or like, I just no, that's not my thing. But for small businesses, again, my threshold is 1.5 to 10 million if they want to gamble with me a little bit. But for my clients' sake, in order to scale my brand, I won't work with clients who need us to be able to handle a budget of more than 150,000 right now, because that would be very irresponsible on my part. I would strangle my own company, while also potentially risking their lives. So, what's your max budget?
Honestly, max budget, and I'm glad that you said that because you're right. I don't know what it is like to have a $200 million budget and put that towards spend, but I could find some ways to do it.
Yeah.
Now, the biggest thing is what are you the most comfortable with? And as far as the maximum amount of money, as big as you want to go, that's fine. I'm more worried about a minimum budget, especially with me. And you mentioned this earlier that you can do $1 a day on ads and you can get some information from the market. That is true, and there's definitely ways that you can do, like, micro bidding strategies like that. I won't take on a paid ad client unless they're spending at least 3K per month. Because 1, 3K shows that you're serious and you actually want this to
Right.
work. 2, that allows us to do enough tests throughout that first month period because I don't have the silver bullet. I don't have the magic potion that as soon as you come with me, I'm gonna drop it and it's gonna fix your whole business. It's just like a scientist. I'm gonna have to make a hypothesis. I'm gonna have to
Yep.
test the hypothesis. Did it work? Yes. Continue. No. Redo the hypothesis. That's everybody.
Here's
But
my worry though. Here's my worry though, and why. The nice thing is you have the ability to shift and mold. You also have the ability to stay where you're at, with the mindset on this. So when I had back surgery, I was 20 years old, changed my life. Right, it took away everything that I loved to do physically. And so I went into that chiropractor's office, and I was in San Antonio, Texas. And San Antonio, it's my home, born and raised, love it to death. But it used to, before it became a booming growth town, the typical feeling and the typical emotion of local San Antonio residents was contentness. They're just content. They're just happy with what it status quo is, like what we loved and thrived on. So I went into that office knowing that, and I told the guy, and they were pretty nonchalant about things. Like, I don't know, they're gonna be. I said, look, if you were to train somebody to run a marathon and they wanted to run it as fast as possible, as best as possible, in best shape, and they want to do it as soon as possible, how many weeks would it take to do it? And they kind of struggled to play with it. They were like 26. And I said, I'm the guy who wants to do it in 23 weeks. Kick my freaking butt. Like, I want to get back in. And Andrew, they struggled. They struggle to appreciate that mindset because they had this law of scarcity playing with them. I didn't want discounts. They kept offering discounts. I didn't want to have the bargain plan. I didn't want to skip certain things. I wanted my freaking results. I wanted to get my life back into the position where I could fully maximize and value what my body's capable of. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs want that. When I say a lot, um, like the 1 to 4% want that. But when they hear somebody come at the opposite end and they're like, well, we're just going to be careful with your budget. I'm like, no. I'm like, no. Like, I get that you want to be responsible, but I don't want to be cheap. I want to invest properly and be abundant with this. And so I do value knowing what the minimum threshold is. And you're right. If you have people who won't spend, like, oh, like those are big red flags. It's like you don't have a vision, you have a pipe dream.
Have you ever heard
No,
of
no.
Elon's perspective on this?
Elon Musk, please go. I want to hear it.
Elon, I believe it was with SpaceX. They wanted to design it was either a rocket or something for the company, and the scientists said that it was going to take 10 years in order to do it. Elon came in and said, "Get it done in 6 months." They said, "Dude, that's impossible. There's no way we can get it done in 6 months." He said, "You're gonna get it done in 6 months, or I'm gonna go find a team that will."
Yeah,
And they said, "Okay." They worked on it. They didn't get it done in 6 months, but they got it done in about 8.
right. Put toothpicks in your eyes, guys. Right?
So, what's the difference between 8 months and 10 years? A lot of time, and that's a
Yeah,
lot more time that you can use to improve the company, and so just like you said, you wanted
huge.
that done in 23 weeks, not 27 or 26.
Right. And this also ties right to your earlier point about doing the right work, smart work, right? The hard work, tying those in. And so, can we be responsible with our budgets, responsible with our timelines, and still maximize the budget that we use? Absolutely. Right. That's what we're looking at. So I'm gonna go one more time on it and see what's the next budget, Andrew. You know what it is?
I'd say max budget's probably 1,000,000 a month.
Whew. Cool, man. You're bolder than I am on that. So then my invitation to you, Andrew, stop playing at the 5 to 10,000 level. Right? Because if that's what your maximum truly is, and you start leaning into that, nobody's gonna pay you $5,000 to manage $1 million budget. Uh, but there is an opportunity to, again, you got the lead gen, you got the connections, you got the spirit, you got the presence. Um, like you can get the confidence up to realize that you don't need the case studies in order to rise to that, just like you didn't need it for Gronkowski. Like that family. You didn't need that proof. You need the will. You need the humility. You need the ability to get in and get tenacious with it. But there's at those levels, anywhere between 5,000 and 30,000, the leads are just as hard to close, or they're just as likely to move forward because it's about alignment, right? Where that alignment exists. So I see you building things to a phenomenal degree. I'm again, I open my doors to that. If you're looking for clients and you're building for clients, and I'd be happy to sit down with you and say, well, let's find these clients together. And let's talk to them together and see. I got this whole lead list of people who've been on the show who need stuff that they want to work with somebody young and who's got clean cut hair, not somebody who's got long hair, and or they want the guy who has a fancy studio like you, not the Ecuadorian backdrop. Right? There's all sorts of reasons why people may want to move forward, but I do. I wouldn't trust you with $1 million. I'll be honest with you on that. I would, but Mark
That's
Cuban might,
okay.
right? Mark Cuban might. He's got less to lose on $1 million. Right? So there's opportunities there, but on a plan where I'm building out with a client, and the client's investing 40,000 to 150,000, that makes it really easier for me to come back to you and be like, Andrew, what do you need? How much? We have a marathon to run. We want to get there in 23 weeks. All right. What do you need? Cool.
Oh, yeah? That sounds pretty good.
All right. Final bits of wisdom for visionaries out there. Your turn, Andrew. What do you got? What do they need to be? What can they look at? What can they do to maximize their year?
I would say you just need to hit the main points. You need to attract people in, whether that's doing personal video pitches, whether that's doing Upwork, whether that's doing cold email, whether that's doing content. It's gonna be pretty much one of those 4. The easiest way to start, just text everyone in your phone. Open up your contacts list, say, "Hey, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. Do you know anyone who would be interested in this? Don't ask them directly. Ask them if they know someone. If they're interested, they're going to say, screw someone else. I do. I want this. And Alex Hormozy teaches that in his $100 million leads book. So
That's right.
attract, have an offer. It doesn't need to be the sexiest offer, the greatest offer. Just provide value. Can you make them money? Can you save them time? Can you improve their quality of life? If you can do one of those three, you're good enough. And you can always improve it over time. And then fulfillment, don't even think about fulfillment. Let's just get someone in the door first. You'll figure it out later. You'll fit FOA later.
Man, for all you young entrepreneurs who don't have families to provide for, Andrew's words ring loud and clear. For those of you who have responsibilities in life, be careful. And at the same time, I'll refer to the wise wisdom of the young Andrew Coleman, who talked about the value of knowing how to map out your scope of work, talked about quality assurance. So if you're at that next level, don't try to do that alone. Get a team. You're not going to be able to scale it by yourself. But if you do have a desire to scale and provide to more people, and it's all about figuring out, how do I become a great leader? How do I attract the right types of people that come in and help me build these things? And then you can build something at scale that still provides the type of life balance that you may want. But it is going to be hard work. And so visionaries, enjoy it. This is about living our purpose. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Andrew, thanks again for being here, man. Everybody check out DCDigital.com. And if you're ready for AI marketing operations, you know the young man to go to.
Thank you for being here today. I'm really happy that you tuned in to Vision Pros Live. I'm looking forward to seeing your reactions as these episodes continue to move forward. This is going to get more and more fun. We'll have more and more engagement as well. We'll invite people to participate in the show. And thank you for giving us your time and attention. Have an excellent time building out your vision and becoming a Vision Pro yourself.